Do a little talk here about your resume, okay? Because they drive me crazy. You know, I look at about at least 100 resumes a day as part of being a, IT recruiter and software developer, software IT recruiter for software development, and also as a business developer. And I'll tell you, okay, number one thing, labeling your resume, okay? Label your resume with kind of a general thing that describes you. Like if you are a C++ Java developer, then label your resume, C++ Java developer, in your name or something. So that way when you upload it, usually there's a profile title and it's like this guy, in a sense, it says my resume. Now I've got to go in there and change the profile title. So you want to make the job easier, and also like when you send a resume that you see pretty much what it is in your name in the resume. So it's very important. Another thing is when you are submitting for a job, look at the rec that you're applying for. Like if a recruiter sends you a rec, look at the rec, and it's going to say things like must or skill set. Make sure that stuff sticks out in your resume. The last thing you want is for the person to be hunting around trying to figure out, is this guy right for the part, right? So make it easy. You can bold it for all I care. Like, hey, you want someone with, Hibernate. Look, I have Hibernate. I did Hibernate here, 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 here. Bold the stuff. Make it easy. Don't, what you want to show the person is that, A, you have it. Another misconception is this, is like you should only have a one-page, one-page resume. That is such bull, right? You don't want to go overboard, but again, when you look at the rec, make the skill sets of the rec with that resume. Don't like talk about basket weaving when you're applying for a software development job. Take that crap off. But you know what? If it's asking for experience with certain skill sets or doing certain things, and if you've got it, put it on your resume, right? Because you got to think of a resume kind of like it's a net to catch a recruiter. Really, your resume is a net to catch a recruiter. Once you catch the recruiter's attention, the recruiter wants to work with you and submit you basically a rec and say, listen, I want to submit you for this. He's going to send you the rec. Now you look at the rec, and what you want to do is ultimately craft your resume so it speaks to that rec. It's very easy, and send it back. Bullets. Don't write in paragraphs. I don't care what people say or whatever. Bullets, 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 bullets. Your resume should start with highlights. Those highlights should be everything that's in a rec, right? That's your highlights. I don't give a crap what you did, but the highlights that you have right there should be represented in the rec. What technologies you've used, that should become next. If you're a software developer, have all those technologies, have that up front, because I tell you, as a recruiter, we're looking there first to say, okay, does the guy have Hibernate? Does the guy have Spring? Can he do Agile development or Scrum? Has he had experience with Waterfall? Whatever, is he an enterprise architect? What kind of architect is he? Does he use IBM, tools or Rational or all these different things? We want to know. We don't want to hunt for that shit in your resume, right? And it's important to be that front. Now, after your technologies, what I think should be basically your education, if you have a master's or whatever, and also certifications. Your certification is important. What certifications do you have? Have them there. After that, now do your resume. Now, here's a big one, all right? So one of the big things I see is like, hey, like a couple things I hate, like project managers and subject matter experts, right? SMEs. One is they're both very generic. So if you're a project manager and you are also a system engineer, right, and you're applying for a position that's a system engineer, and you've got project manager, project manager, project manager, project manager, project manager, but within it you're really doing system engineering, but your title was project manager, screw the title. You need to put in there, system engineer and project manager. If this job is for a system engineer job, make sure you show your system engineering skills, right? If this job is for a project management skill, then obviously put project manager first, So it's very important that, titles mean shit. What really important is what you've done, but you want your title to represent what you've done. You don't want to be applying for a job as a system engineer and you haven't been doing it, right? But if you were involved in system engineering while you were also being a project manager lead, okay, they don't care that you were a project manager. What they want to know is whether or not you have the system engineering skill set. So that is what you have to highlight. And don't say it worked with, like, especially like right now, I'm talking to folks who are enterprise architects. These guys make, upward of 150 to, some folks make, 150 an hour. These are very high-end folks. And trying to get some of these guys to understand that they have to like tailor their resume, because I'm like, the scope of work that you've done is so massive, there's no way you can put on a resume. Now, I'm telling you what prerequisite we're looking for. Make sure that the scope that you do show is on your resume. I'm going to say that a million times. Make sure the scope that you're applying for is on your resume. So, and a lot of times, like, interacted with SMEs for IBM. Well, what kind of SMEs? I don't know if you realize, but, someone who basically unclogs drains is a subject matter expert, right? Someone who, a plumber is a subject matter expert. Anyone who's been doing anything for an extended period of time is an SME. Now, so if this again is an engineering job, then make sure you senior system engineer, project manager, interacted with architects, yada yada yada. If it was stuff that's on the rec, great, add it. If the SME isn't pertinent, then drop it. So I hope this little talk on resumes will help folks, because it's amazing what people put out there as a resume. It's great. I've never had a resume. Actually, maybe once when I was in college about 20 years ago when I got my first job. I've always worked for myself. I didn't need a resume for this job. Mike just hired me. He just knew me. So I'm fortunate that I've always never needed a resume. I've never really worked for anyone else. So, but now, I could write a resume now, So I may write a resume just for fun, just as an example of what a resume should look like. So it's pretty straightforward. They stand out. A good resume versus a bad resume, and I can't tell you how often I spend, like today I spent at least 2 hours working on someone's resume. This guy's a highly skilled person, but I just need to be formatted, changed, and put together in a lot different way. Okay? All right. That's it. Okay, I haven't finished yet. I'm going to continue. I'm just joking.